AITA for making it hard for my in-laws to see my children. My wife, 30F, and I, 29M, have been married for 8 years and have 2 kids, 6 and 4. She is an officer in the U.S. military and is currently overseas on deployment. It can be hard for me sometimes to basically be a single parent. But I love my wife and I love my kids and I'm proud of my wife's service. But that aspect of our lives isn't the topic here. My wife's parents live across the country, like 2,000 miles away. I don't have a great relationship with them and really only see them when my wife is in the States. They aren't necessarily bad people by any means and I know they love their grandkids. I just don't enjoy their company and don't want to hang out with them or talk with them if I don't have to. Due to my wife's deployment, we were unable to spend the holidays with her this past year. Instead, I took a week off of work and I took the kids to visit my parents for Xmas and New Year's. It was a fun week and it was a nice change to our day-to-day routine. It also gave me a much-needed chance to be off full-time kid duty for a few days. My mom posted a lot of pictures of our stay on social media, which my Mill saw. Mill then decided to call me and tell me that they would also like to see their grandkids since it has been a long time. She's not wrong. They haven't seen my kids in 3 years. I told her I would have to think about it and talk with my wife first, but since I don't always get regular communication with my wife, I don't know exactly when that will be. When I finally talked with my wife, I mentioned her mom asking to see the kids. Apparently, Mill had contacted my wife about it as well. I told my wife that I would prefer to wait until she gets back from deployment and she agreed. She said she would talk to her mom about it next chance she gets. A few days later, Mill calls again. She said she talked with my wife and she understands that we just took time to see my parents over the holidays, so she offered to come visit us instead of us going to them. I told her, I appreciate the idea, but that isn't going to work for us. She tried to tell me that it would give me a break and that she and Phil could help around the house, so that it isn't all on me. I told her that even if I let them come see the kids, they wouldn't be staying with us and would have to get a hotel. I then said that I already talked with her daughter and we both agreed that waiting until she is back from deployment is for the best. But that even then I can't guarantee when it will happen. She got upset with me for making it nearly impossible for them to see their grandkids, when I just took them to see my parents for nearly 2 weeks and they haven't seen them in 3 years. I pretty much told her that it isn't my problem and if she wants to take it up with someone, she can talk to her daughter or the U.S. military and see if she can get her daughter's deployment time reduced. I told her good luck with getting either one to budge on their current stance. Edit. This is a comment that I was advised to add to my post regarding my relationship with my in-laws. We just don't see eye to eye on pretty much anything. Mill is convinced that I am incapable of raising my kids without their mother, and has told me on numerous occasions that because my wife is deployed for long periods of time, that the kids need a mother's touch that I cannot possibly provide. Phil is also convinced that my wife settled for me and has told me on more than one occasion that he wishes my wife had stayed with her previous BF who was also military and who cheated on her numerous times. So yeah, not my favorite people to be around. Info: what have they done to you or your family? This seems like an easy ask on their part, yet you're a hard no. What gives? Edit. With your added info. NTA. Definitely NTA. NTA. You and your wife are in agreement. If you were acting outside of her approval, then you would be in the wrong. NTA. You aren't obligated to be around people who treat you poorly simply because they ask. They made their bed when they condescended to and dismissed you. How can they be shocked when the person they insulted doesn't want to be around them? I think it's interesting that Mill didn't ask to see her grandchildren until she saw pictures of the other grandparents having a visit. NTA because your wife is in agreement. Your wife knows her parents best if she is also wanting or is okay with having them wait until she is back for them to be around her children. That is very telling. People who have good relationships with good parents don't understand bad, neutral relationships with bad parents. Which is why some folks are saying you are an a-hole. If they were good grandparents, good parents to your wife would be okay with them coming without her being there. She knows them best, follow her lead. NTA. Your Mill is a total sexist. Believes you can't possibly be an adequate parent without a mother's touch. And your Phil is just dumb. Wishes your wife didn't settle for you and wishes your wife stayed with her previous unfaithful boyfriend. I'm sorry, dude. You are right to avoid any contact with them without your wife or anyone else as a buffer. I wish you luck. I'm sorry your in-laws are so god-awful. NTA. They are her parents. She should be there. I would never make my wife see my family without me. NTA. You and your wife reached an agreement to wait until she got back from deployment and Mill is trying to triangulate her way around the decision you both made as a couple. Honestly. NTA. Immediately what stuck out to me was that OP's wife was in full agreement with him. Seeing OP's further comments about how the in-laws treat him solidified my opinion. You shouldn't be forced to tolerate people who belittle you and treat you like an unwelcome guest in their lives alone while raising young children. NTA. While I'm sure they want to see their grandkids, would you be getting badgered like this if your mom didn't post the pictures? Probably not. Also, how far are your parents to where you live? If you did travel the same distance to see them, that it would be for your in-laws. I would understand why they could be mad about that part. Regardless, I'm sure they want to see their daughter too so they can calm TF down and wait however many weeks, months until their daughter gets back. Having to entertain people you don't connect super well with really sucks. Like I cannot imagine even a full day with my in-laws without my with us. Then add on the stress of working, all the housework and childcare. Saying Phil will help around the house. What does that even mean? He's probably not familiar where things are and where they should go, so how will he help with house work? It would be you showing him how to do things. And at that point I'm like, why don't I just do it myself? NTA. Did these people read the same thing I did? If your wife, their child and the mother of your children, is on your side about them waiting to see the kids, they need to wait, regardless of your relationship with her parents. You and your wife already decided together. They talked themselves out of being involved in your life. NTA. NTA because I saw your comment below on how they treat you and what they've said to you and your wife. If they don't think you're a good father or can't raise the kids without their mom, then I have no doubt it would be miserable with them there. You need your wife as a buffer so they don't undermine you. NTA. As an ex-military wife whose ILs hated me, on principle no woman was going to be good enough for her baby boy, and I was an even worse mother. Because I actually disciplined my children, not spanking. Just regular discipline like timeouts, and she didn't think they needed any because they were perfect little angels who were just being mischievous. His parents were hell. I would never go to see them without my husband. I did it once when our first child was 6 months old and she busted through boundaries the whole trip. Never again. Your ILs sound a lot like mine and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Plus, the fact that she tried to go around you and also talk to your wife before you'd even had a chance. Proves they're pushy. NTA they can wait until your wife comes home period. I would do FaceTimes though. That way you're still protecting yourself while not completely isolating them from the kiddos. Going against the grain here and going to say NTA. It is exhausting being the parent holding down the fort while your spouse is deployed. My husband is gone right now. I get it. To a point I only have one kid. Even though the in-laws are family. They're guests. They're extra work. They're people to entertain. And you've got two little people to entertain already. Furthermore, it's no coincidence it's been 3 years. COVID is partially responsible. But if your wife wanted your in-laws more involved, they would be. There's a reason they haven't been to visit since travel restrictions lifted and before your wife left. And, assuming here, they're only jealous your parents got to see the kids. Have they asked to visit before? Are they calling, FaceTiming? What effort are they putting in? Or are you and your wife expected to arrange everything? They could be lovely people. But you're not in an ordinary situation. It's survival mode right now. You're protecting your peace while you're stretched thin. Again. NTA. They've waited 3 years. They can wait a couple more months. NTA because of OP's added context. That I suggested he edit into the op. We just don't see eye to eye on pretty much anything. Mill is convinced that I am incapable of raising my kids without their mother, and has told me on numerous occasions that because my wife is deployed for long periods of time, that the kids need a mother's touch that I cannot possibly provide. Phil is also convinced that my wife settled for me and has told me on more than one occasion that he wishes my wife had stayed with her previous BF who was also military and who cheated on her numerous times. So yeah, not my favorite people to be around. Maybe I'm in awe, but even with the edit I didn't think you were in the wrong. Tears of joy. I believe that each prospective partner should handle their own extended family. That includes arranging visits, communicating boundaries, speaking up conflict etc. It's unfortunate your in-laws are not closer and therefore unable to be more involved, but it's also not really your responsibility to facilitate the relationship between them and your kids. It also seems like they only reached out due to FOMO after seeing the kids with your parents. Unless your wife has been deployed an entire 3 years. I'm curious why they haven't tried to arrange a visit sooner while she was home. Also with the edit it clarifies even more your NTA. I'm going with NTA. To all the people saying YTA and that op is being a petulant child. Did we all forget that op's wife is in agreement about her parents waiting until she is back? This isn't just something op unilaterally decided. I do have one question for op though. How do your children feel about it? If you ask them if they want grandma and grandpa to come see them, what's their opinion? I'm guessing they were probably too young last they saw them to remember. Just curious. NTA. You haven't made it difficult for them to see their grandkids. You offered a reasonable choice. Come over and stay in a hotel if wife is deployed. Or wait until wife is home. Honestly, I don't think that the onus should be put on you to maintain your kids' relationship with your ILs. A few days later, Mill calls again. She said she talked with my wife and she understands that we just took time to see my parents over the holidays. So she offered to come visit us instead of us going to them. I told her, I appreciate the idea, but that isn't going to work for us. She tried to tell me that it would give me a break and that she and Phil could help around the house. So that it isn't all on me. They could stay in a hotel and take the kids out for a few hours or a full day. Or some variation of this. Which would help you, without you with having to entertain them for their trip. NTA. It's though to be around in-laws to be sure. I agree that grandparents should be allowed to see their grandkids, however, if it's been 3 years since they saw them and are onky now reaching out because your parents got to see them, then they are the all. You spoke to her, said you wanted to talk to your wife first, and then she goes around you to her daughter to try and get her to say yes, and then when you guys made it clear that you were going to wait for your wife to be home, she tried to guilt you into saying yes. I have grandparents on my father's side that I only met when he died. They don't get a pass on putting in the effort just because they are grandparents, especially if they are just going to degrade their father, which if they can say those type of things to him, there's no way they won't to the kids, and that is toxic.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.